Welcome to the Speaking Podcast. You can find all our episodes on speakingpodcast.com. We're also on BitChute and YouTube. You'll find the links in the podcast description. I throw out our podcasts, The Awakening, Learn Polish, Meditation, and the Crypto Podcast, and all can be found on rycon.com. Today, my guest from LA, please welcome Brendan Leibowitz.
Yep. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
No problem. So you might let the listeners know who's Brendan.
Yep, no, Brandon is all good. So yeah, don't worry. Leibowitz is a little tricky one, but yeah, no, it's all good.
So I suppose, excuse me, you might let the listeners know who's Brandon.
Oh yeah, so yeah, I pretty much grew up in Los Angeles and lived here my whole life, and love skateboarding, kind of my passion, and grew up skateboarding out here, and really enjoyed that, and try to kind of make that into a little bit of a business. But my main focus is really digital marketing, like doing SEO, ranking websites on Google. So helping people pop up on Google, making whatever you search on Google, making websites kind of appear. And that's what I've been doing for the past almost 15 years now, is really just focused on the digital marketing side of things. And yeah, just helping people get more traffic from Google.
Excellent. Yeah. I know I tried skateboarding when I was younger. I think maybe 10 times. Each time my head had landed on the concrete floor. So I said, yeah. And that was a time when we didn't use helmets. So that was the end of skateboarding for me. But I see it. It seems to be a very good sport. And I see how, excited people are and the different tricks they can do. So yeah, good way of keeping them fit.
Yeah, no, it's fun. But the concrete, when you fall on it, it does hurt. So it's not as forgiving as some other places like snowboarding or surfing.
Exactly. Yeah. Skiing is fun when you fall. You just laugh. Yeah, you don't laugh when you fall off a skateboard and hit your head.
No, it's a lot different. It's a lot more painful with that concrete. So yeah, if I could kind of feel you on that. Like I've had too many injuries, so do it every once in a while, but not as much as I'd like to. But it's got to be safe.
With the search engine optimization, I know you've done a few workshops and stuff like that, so we'll touch on the speaking. But I suppose the reason that I think this would be a good match for people is main listeners are kind of speakers, aspiring speakers, and coaches as well. And I mean, at the end of the day, they're all trying to grow their audience. And I suppose by learning the right way to do it, because to be honest, there's a lot of people out there, they'll contact you and they'll promise you the earth, the moon, and the stars. And all you'll see is that your wallet gets a little thinner than seeing results. So I suppose digital marketing journey, getting into it first, because there's a lot of different topics that we can go into. I want to touch on analytics and the paid and the go organic route and everything. But I suppose your digital marketing journey, you might kind of give us a bit of a synopsis on that.
Yeah, kind of just fell into digital marketing in 2007. I graduated from college and had my degree in business marketing. And the first job I got was working for a company that they wanted me to help out with all their digital marketing. And I didn't really know much about it. They don't really teach you that in school. So they said, don't worry, we don't know much about it either, which I thought was interesting. And they said, we're going to go to classes and workshops and learn with you. So started that in 2007, helping out with their doing SEO, search engine optimization. I was doing email marketing for them. I was helping out with social media. I was helping out with paid ads, kind of doing everything, even like taking pictures of the products, writing product descriptions. And back then, just realized that everyone's going to have a website in the future, and SEO is a way to get free traffic. All the things I mentioned definitely work, like paid ads, social media. It all works to get traffic, but if you can get that free traffic from Google, why do you want to pay for traffic? So I've really just focused on trying to figure out how to get that organic, that free traffic over the years, and worked at different advertising agencies, worked at mom and pop shops, helped out Fortune 500 companies, and kind of everything in between. And over the years, and really now I just focus on SEO, really getting that traffic and a little bit of paid ads and social, but prefer to do the SEO. If you can get up there for free, let's save you that money, because Google makes way too much money. So there's no need to keep them getting richer. They're doing bad. They're doing okay.
Exactly. And I was telling somebody recently that with the Learn Polish, I mean, I hit over 1 million on the views for the videos, and I started monetizing it when it was at 800 and odd. So basically I had between 100 to 120 maybe 100,000 views by the time I actually made my first, claim for the payment due. And it was like about €100 for that amount of views. Yet if I wanted to advertise on that, you put a few zeros onto that. They're paying pittance, like, which is a bit strange, like, because at the end of the day, I mean, I get it, they have a lot of the work, but to pay so little, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, you don't make that much money. A lot of people are surprised. They think if you hit 1 million views, you're going to get paid out all this money. But I think, well, it just depends on your industry. So the way it works with the Google ads or YouTube ads is if you're a creator, if you're like fitness or something like that, there's a lot more advertisers that want to spend money on like fitness and health versus like mine. I do SEO. Not too many people want to spend money on ads for SEO. So I'm going to get paid less than someone that's doing like a workout or health or wellness or something with like stocks or Forex or like bigger niches like that. So, but also, yeah, they don't really pay out. I think it's like maybe for every 1,000 views, you get $1-ish, give or take. So you get 1 million views, you're not making that much. I mean, you're making some money, but you would think you're making more than that. Like if you're getting that many views, you got to partner up with people. That's why a lot of YouTube channels will say this video is sponsored by, and they'll have like a real product that they're like promoting versus just trying to get the ads, because ads, you're not making any money off of that.
Exactly. And I'm just curious because when people do a Google search and they see, it's usually at least 3, but sometimes it can be nearly a page of the advert where people have obviously paid to be there versus the organic. What's the percentage of people that prefer to go to the organic instead of going for the top kind of 1, 2, or 3?
I'd say the majority of the people want to go to the organic, but some people don't realize they're clicking on ads, and that's where Google makes a lot of their money is. And on mobile too. It's like desktop, it's a lot more obvious. Those are ads, but mobile, sometimes they blend in when you're swiping or scrolling, and you just don't see them. So, or don't notice the little ad because they try to make it subtle. They don't want you to really know that they're ads. But the majority of the people, they don't want to click on ads because they know you're just paying to get up there. So they don't trust it as much as organic.
And like it's well, I suppose most industries we have to be continuous learning. Not everybody does, but especially for what you're doing, because I remember before at the start, it was kind of like the amount of links that you had. So people were creating like fake websites and everything. So they had more links, which made them more popular and it was pushing up. But I think Google copped onto that and they've changed it. So I'm assuming every few years they're making changes that kind of, you're doing brilliant. And then all of a sudden you're gone from the front page.
Not every single day they're making changes. Every day they're changing that algorithm. But they're really just looking for people that have like you were saying, like found loopholes and ways to game the system, like building websites to make, we call it private blog networks, where they're just building a bunch of websites and then just linking out to themselves, because backlinks are really the most important part for SEO. Without backlinks, it's almost impossible to rank on Google. But Google's changed a lot how they look at backlinks. They're looking at like making sure you have good quality sites that link to you. And a good quality site is a site that's relevant or authoritative. But if you're just building low quality spammy backlinks, and Google's going to catch on, and instead of ranking higher, you're going to drop down, which is the last thing we want to happen. We want you to move up. So the backlinks, got to be very, very careful with those backlinks when you're building backlinks.
And is that now working just with websites or with all the other social media? Like, for example, of Instagram, Twitter, the whole lot. If you have them linking back to that webpage with a link on it, does that give you kind of a bit of an advantage?
So unfortunately, Google is blocked from all social media. So Google doesn't see Facebook or Instagram. I mean, Google owns YouTube, so they could see YouTube. Google's partnered with Twitter, so they could kind of see it. But the main thing with the backlinks is you want relevancy. So if you're getting a bunch of backlinks from social media websites, Google's going to think that you're a social media website, which if you're a social media site, great, you want that. But if you're like a doctor, you need sites related to like health and wellness, like WebMD, or something related to health. If you're a restaurant, you need something related to food. So you got to find sites that are related to you. That's a really, really big part of Google's algorithm nowadays is relevancy, making sure everything's relevant, making sure the keywords on your website are related to what your product or service is, making sure the websites that link to you are relevant. That's really important. So just making sure that you get those good quality, relevant websites.
And would it be valuable to do, like, say, a joint venture with someone that has a decent subscription on a blog that's relevant to your, whether it's speaking or learn Polish or whatever, just thinking of myself, obviously, like, but that they do something and then you give them a shout out or you give them a link, that with something like that, because they talk about you and say, you can find Ryan, say learn Polish podcast.com or something like that. Would that work? Would that be working if you kind of get bloggers to give a shout out?
That's the best, is if you can get other websites that are related to you to give you kind of a shout out or mention. But the thing is, if you mention them back, it becomes a reciprocal backlink. So it's like, I give you a backlink, you give me one. Google's like, we see what you're doing there, and that kind of cancels it out. So
okay, so for me, for example, say the Polish one, I can just say, I just want to thank for doing it, and verbally do it. Then it would be different rather than me actually writing it in the show notes, because obviously if I'm putting it up on YouTube, they would see that. That would kind of overcome that situation, I'm assuming.
Yep. I mean, Google's been around for, I mean, they've seen all these tricks where it's like, I link to you, you link to you. Like, even if we got like 20 people to all link to one another, it's called like link wheels. Google's able to pick up on all that stuff. So nowadays you just want that website to talk about you. You don't want to talk about them. If you do, it kind of cancels it all out. So, which, it's a weird thin little line. Google makes it tricky. They don't want to make SEO easy because they want you to just spend money on ads. That's how they make all their money. So they're always updating their algorithm for SEO.
And the scary thing is they tend to know more about ourselves than we do, because like I was able to go through settings and actually find out exactly, and you can turn them off, but we don't know about that. But I think I seen it on TikTok, some guy explaining what to do. And it was kind of scary. Every single thing that they track, the whole lot, everything that you do, it's all logged down.
There's no privacy. They track everything. They're giving you like Chrome for free. It's not really free. Chrome tracks everything you're doing. They're giving you Gmail for free because they're reading your emails, looking for keywords for advertisers. So like, if someone mentions like tennis shoes, they'd be like, hey, Nike, check out Roy. Like, he mentioned tennis shoes. He might be in the market to buy tennis shoes. Or Adidas, maybe send them some ads over here. So they're tracking so much. It's kind of scary if you really know what's going on.
Yeah. And even if you, because I've read a few books on that as well, like, whistleblowers from Facebook and everything, and it is scary. Like, but even if you just talk and your phone is next to you and you mention something, but the frightening thing for me was with like WhatsApp, which I know is owned by Facebook, is supposed to be encrypted. And somebody had asked me the name of a book, and I just sent them a message with it. And next I see advertisements for that. It was about Jim Rohn, and advertisements start coming up, and it's like, there's not even encryption. When they're telling us there is zero out there.
There's, unfortunately, it's all out there. Like, once you say something, there's Alexa, there's Google Home, there's all that stuff that are listening, and your cell phones are listening. They have cameras, they're watching. Sometimes, who knows what's really going on, but I'm sure they could access whatever they want at any time, which makes it a little weird. But
no, it's strange. And I mean, like, obviously we're doing the video of this just for those listening, but as soon as this is finished, I cover up the camera. And what I've noticed is, even when Mark Zuckerberg was talking, his laptop in the background was actually covered up. So I mean, that's the state we have, that we don't even have a system in place that somebody can just tap in and start looking at every single thing that we're doing.
Yep. It's a little scary. Yeah. You never know who's watching behind that camera. Like, if someone's tuning in and just seeing what's going on, it's a weird feeling to know that.
And just wondering, because I'm hearing, I use Telegram, and I'm hearing Signal as well. Are they, I don't think there's anything out there. I think we're being told there are, but from what you're hearing, are they actually safe? Are they really encrypted?
Good question. Who knows? Most likely they start off like that, but then once it gets bigger and bigger, things change, and corporate life and bureaucracy take over, and unfortunately it all changes. Advertisers come in and they need to make money, and it's unfortunate.
Right, because the reality is, no matter which one we think, the phone provider has access to everything. So that's all they need, really, on both sides, isn't it? Like, we can have all this kind of encryption, but once the phone providers, they'll know how to decrypt anything. So I'm on the belief now that I just say stuff as it is and just assume, yeah, they're listening. But yeah, we try to use our sovereignty if they ever try to use it against us, and invasion of privacy.
Yeah, it's a little weird, but yeah, that's the state of 2022 in the future. Is just no privacy. Everything is just all out there. It's all out there. No hiding from anything.
Yeah, sure. I suppose we'll try to lift it up a bit, so now that we've depressed people. The analytics, because I saw an email recently that they're changing something with the analytics. I actually didn't even read it. I just saw it coming in and I thought, yeah, it's like, is that a way of actually doing it organic, that you track all that? Do you have to kind of make sure that you're doing the analytics for everything?
No, I would definitely be tracking everything. I mean, just talking about Facebook, data is invaluable. Like they have data breaches, like data to Facebook or any of these companies is invaluable. And if you have a website, you have data that you could collect from Google Analytics or other tracking tools where you can pretty much see everything that's going on. Even if you're getting one visitor a day to your website, that's still traffic that you could use to make statistically informed decisions off of. So definitely use some sort of analytics. Google Analytics is free. Google again owns it. They're going to be like tracking everything. So they're giving it out for free because they want to see everything that's going on your website behind the scenes. But it is a really good tool. And like you said, they just sent out an email a couple months ago that they're changing. So you have to switch over from Google Analytics Universal tag to the new G4 tag, which is the new analytics. And unfortunately, all your old data is going to be gone from the old analytics. So I would say start now, sign up, or create that little tracking code, add it to your website, because the sooner you add it, the more you're going to be able to track. If you add that tracking code next month, you're not going to get any of this past month's data. It doesn't go back historically. So put that tracking code on sooner than later and start getting that data, because then you can see how people behave on your website, what pages they visit, what pages they leave from, how do they find you? Did they find you from Google, Bing, Yahoo, Instagram, Facebook, email, just typing you in directly? I mean, it tells you too much information. It's like information overload, but the more data you have, the better. So just look at it, play around with it. A lot of people get overwhelmed, but don't worry, you're not going to break anything by clicking on it.
Exactly. And I mean, you mentioned there as well, just even if you've one person to your website, which with the podcast with me, I mean, I get the analytics of actually where the listeners are coming from. And, I've got 50+% on all my podcasts is from America. And then the UK is another big, but it gives me the different countries. So, I try to cater for them, especially say the Awakening one. I try to make sure that I'm covering them countries, even with the information that's being discussed, because if we're not tracking that, you just assume, yeah, it's got, some of them have over 130 countries or something like that. And, instead of serving, you're obviously serving the whole lot of them, but it's more important to keep the majority happy.
Yep. No, it tells you all that. It even breaks it down to like city, state. Like
it's unbelievable. I mean, I look at it and I go into and then break down. Even in my own country, it's like, geez, I can't believe how it breaks it down. So, like, I mean, I wouldn't have heard of any of the places in America. I'd obviously have heard of the states, but then it breaks down into different regions, then breaks it down even further again.
It just keeps going and going. It gets really granular. Again, that data is nice to have. It's sometimes a little overwhelming, but just click on everything. You're not going to break anything. And it tells you like mobile versus desktop. It shows you so much information. Google Analytics is really something I recommend to everyone. Don't use, like, if you're using Shopify or Squarespace or WordPress or all those other platforms, they'll give you analytics, but it's not the same as Google Analytics. It's not as in-depth, and Google Analytics is free. So I would say jump on that and take advantage of it.
Like the advantage, I mean, I assume majority of people, but there's always somebody that wouldn't. But like the beauty is, if you are doing paid advertisements and you know your demographics, so I know, say, 30 to 40-year-old males in, say, Chicago are my best audience for, say, the Polish podcast. If I was doing a paid advertisement, I can limit it to that area and I'd have a better return on my investment than just kind of doing a global one.
Yep, that's the main thing, is using that data to make statistically informed decisions instead of just guessing and thinking maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. Now you have the data to actually say, all right, this is who your audience is, this is where they are, this is how long they're staying on your website. I mean, it tells you so much information, but definitely it's nice to have that data.
So I suppose let's try to help the speakers and coaches. So what would be the best way for them? Obviously, we'll give out your details in the end and they can see you. But if they were, because, as it's international audience and obviously people are looking at different providers, maybe they prefer to be working with local and everything. Because I know that sometimes dealing with people that are going to actually help you get up on the, on the first page and everything, I prefer to kind of look at return on investment, that you kind of see, okay, if I do X, obviously you have to pay for a service, that this is what you should expect. But there's a load of fraudsters out there. Like I'm aware of that. I've seen so many of them, and especially in a podcasting world, the amount of people that contact you is unbelievable. They'll promise you the earth, the moon, the stars. I have a big team. This is all. It's like a cut and paste message that they send. But I suppose I suppose a pitch for a speaker coaching, but at the same time letting them know what to be watching out for competitors.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, there are a lot of kind of unscrupulous people in the SEO digital marketing, because with SEO, there's a lot of intangibles. It's like what's really going on. But number one is backlinks, making sure that you're getting new backlinks, or good quality backlinks, because without backlinks, nothing really matters. You can make changes to your website. You could put keywords all over your website. You can make your website load in 0.01 seconds, but without backlinks, Google's not going to trust you. And that's the biggest part, is getting Google to trust you, because Google looks at you and says, we see your website, but we see this other person that's been around for years that we could trust. We know they're a legitimate company, and we just don't know who you are, because Google's kicked off half the websites off the internet, like the dark web and all this weird, shady stuff that goes on. Google just looks at you and says, you're just part of this dark web. We don't want to put you on our search engine because we don't really believe that you are trustworthy. But building trust is number one for Google, but also people, because once you get people to your website, you got to get the trust of that person to say, all right, I want to use your product or service or listen to your podcast or whatever it is. But you got to build that trust up, because if not, they're just going to hit that back button. And there's 10 websites on that first page of Google, plus ads, plus all this other stuff. So there's plenty of options out there for people. So if they don't find what they're looking for right away, they're hitting that back button. And so got to build that trust for people, for Google, and then also for humans, like that balance.
And do people is there a way that they'll say, look, I can guarantee you to get on the first place, or is that really not possible? Because I know there's even say the podcasting world, those people say, oh, I'll get you into the top of the charts and all this. And yeah, it ain't true. But I've heard the same, because people contact me as well, regarding search engine optimization, and say, oh, we'll get you this, we'll get you that. And I know this most of the time, yeah, they write a good letter, but that's where the skill ends.
Yeah. They usually just copy and paste. They email me all the time, the same things. But yeah, no, you just really have to go for the quality and just understand that with SEO, you just gotta weed through all the weird stuff and just focus on good. Like, you can't guarantee results. Like, that's one thing, is anyone that says they could guarantee anything or guarantee page one rankings, nobody could guarantee that. But what I can guarantee is you get more traffic from Google, targeted traffic, so ranking you for your keywords. But the way people search nowadays, it's like, if you try to rank for like a keyword, the way people search, they search with like singular, plurals, they use synonyms. But the cell phones, they can just speak it to that, and that changes everything. Where it's like, people now, is like half the searches, I think, are like brand new searches that Google's never heard of or seen. So it's really trying to just capture all that, and not just say, I want to rank for this one keyword, because it would be great, but how many people are searching for that keyword versus the singular or variation of it? Or you want to capture it all. You don't want to just be stuck on that one. So it's tough to say we're going to guarantee rankings, but you could definitely guarantee more organic free traffic from Google that's targeted, not just any random traffic. Because like you're saying, there's all these people that are mentioning, we'll get you the number one on podcasts. Like, we'll get you to the top, which they could do that, but it's all like these spam, like bots and stuff, which I'm not sure how sophisticated all those algorithms are. I don't mess too much with the iTunes and Spotify and all that, but I know that they're getting pretty smart. They're not as sophisticated as Google. So you could kind of game the system, or like Facebook, there's all like Instagram, there's all these bots. They're cleaning them up. they're pretty on top of it, but it took them years. Like it took Facebook years and years to be able to start cleaning that stuff up. So all these platforms, there's always loopholes, there's always ways to game the system, but in the long run, is it worth risking it to potentially get kicked off these platforms? Probably not the best long-term strategy, unless you don't care and you're just in it for the short term, quick little buck, trying to just get some money real quick. Then you could do some of these shady stuff. Because even with SEO, there's ways to like game the system and rank at the top of Google pretty quickly, but Google's going to find out that you're doing this, or your competitors are going to see that you're doing this and tell Google, and then you just drop down and completely disappear. So it's not really the best strategy.
And I'd say they have a memory as well, so that even if you do fix it up later, you nearly need to create something totally different because you've got the strike against you.
Yep, you don't want to be on their bad side. You want to stay as read their terms of service. Each web, like Google has Google Search Console or Google Webmaster Guidelines, where they're telling you what they're looking for, which pretty much says don't do anything. So you guys just take everything with a grain of salt. They're not really going to tell you what they're looking for, but they'll tell you what to avoid, some of that stuff. So, but anything that seems too good to be true might be a little too good to be true. Like if they're going to guarantee rankings in a couple of weeks on Spotify to get you to the top, or iTunes, might not be really what's going on, or they might get you like on the top of like Spotify in some random country where nobody's really listening. It's like, that's how they kind of trick you and stuff like that.
Yeah. And just regarding the bots, because I'd have different people reaching out to promote, and you look at some of the stuff, and you give some people a chance, and a main thing would be like making sure no bots know this. But unfortunately, they'll tell you they're not, and I'll see the increase. Yeah, great, but then it just returns back to where it was. So the reality is, if they got you a lot of traffic, it doesn't mean that if they were genuine, that obviously people would actually like your style and would continue to subscribe, but you'd get a percentage of them, and unfortunately, people are paying for that. And I know the same goes on with YouTube. People are paying for, like subscribers, the actual number of views that go on the thing. And it's the same thing. They're not genuine. And like, I know that with one group, because people are sharing stuff with me as well, like with even say Instagram and stuff like that. And you can buy any amount of likes, subscribers, and everything, but it's basically like having 1,000 friends and nobody talking to each other. And instead, it's better to have true fans. It's better to have 100 that are engaging instead of. And I know there's a kind of ego thing, and sometimes maybe to attract the bigger boys and all, whether it's for a speaker to actually get on bigger stages, or they look at his social media and they go, oh, this guy's got a good following. But I mean, what I've noticed is, say on Twitter and a lot of these things, you look at it and there's no engagement. I mean, I at one stage, say with the Twitter, I had 7,500, but it was some algorithm thing. I don't know, was it Hotsuite or one of these things that I use, and whatever way it worked, it was kind of like a follow for a follow kind of thing. And a few years later, I was like, this doesn't make sense. So I spent a lot of time just following 99% of them, and it dropped down to 4,500, right? So they're ones that probably weren't on an automatic system. But if I look at the engagement, it's very little. Like with 4,500, maybe 3 max or something, which shouldn't be the case. So the only reason that I post stuff on Twitter is because it's so easy. I'd like the different social media, just press and post. And unfortunately, in some of the different groups that I'm in, they look at the number of followers and they count that as followers. So it kind of helps me in a way, but in reality, is it helping my audience, and is it something that's engaged? It's one of the worst things, even though it looks good on paper.
Yep. That's one thing, is can't really trust what you see online. Like everything is kind of a facade. There's too many ways to buy your followers, your friends, likes, comments, subscribers, but engagement, can't really buy that. I mean, you can buy it, but you can kind of see through it. Like you have to keep buying it and buying it and buy it, because if you have 1 million followers and you're only getting 20 likes on your pictures, it looks a little weird. But you could buy 1,000 likes for all your pictures, but that means every time you post, you gotta buy these and keep spending money, and keeps adding up and up and up, and it's not authentic. And ultimately, it comes down to, are they actually buying, like, or actually using your product or service, or listening to your podcast? If not, followers are just followers. They don't mean anything. Just like traffic to your website. Traffic really means nothing, because half that traffic is going to leave, and the traffic does stay there, are you able to convert them? Because if not, that's just a visitor to your website. So you can have all this traffic coming to your website. No one's converting, doesn't really do too much. Same with social. If you have all these followers, but no one's converting, engaging is good, but you want them ultimately to convert, like go to your website or listen to your podcast, download it, or whatever your conversion goal is. But if they're not doing that, then who cares? And a lot of the follow, unfollow, where it's like, I follow you, you follow me back. It's like, we'll get you some followers, but are they targeted? If most of these followers are just going to be random website or random users that there's no relevancy. It all comes down to relevancy. You want people that are related to what you're doing to follow you. You don't just want any random person to follow you. You want people that are actually interested in what you're doing. And it all comes down to relevancy with social, with SEO, with just everything with marketing. It's just making sure you're relevant to that specific audience.
Oh, exactly. And especially in the podcasting world as well, there's a load of groups, podcasts and promoting group and everything. And there's some of them, there's actually decent people in it sharing good information that you can kind of go, oh, that's interesting. I can actually apply that. But there's so many posts that are like, as you mentioned, subscribe for a subscribe, and it's like, what's the point? It's like, and I like, especially with like iTunes and everything. I mean, they'll know. Some people might have an audience of say 30, and then they're getting so many different subscribes because they're doing a like for a like, and yeah, it doesn't add up, and you're doing yourself no favors. I think you think you are, but the reality is, if you concentrate on doing it properly, organically, and like, I'm just curious as well, like, because what I've noticed over the years, and I've read it as well, right? I mean, I've actually witnessed this because I've had a lot of different companies. I've played around with different things, but I've always tried to keep it organic. Same with Facebook now and Google. This has happened with Facebook and Google, and I've actually read books on it confirming it as well. That basically, once you start paying, then they stop your organic growth because they know they want to keep getting you paid. So the same with the Facebook. If you were trying to build your audience, then eventually say, I'll give a boost, and you start paying money to, get the audience in, which never really works, to be honest with you. It doesn't work well with the Facebook, but then it drops down to what it was. You just keep doing what you've done before, and they just keep trying to push a sales on you. Is that your experience as well?
Well, maybe in the past for Google, but they can't do that. Like Google, if you're paying ads, they're not going to help out with SEO. It's not going to affect it. They want to keep that separate, but I'm not sure how Facebook works, because Facebook is definitely a whole different algorithm. But Google, SEO and Google ads, they don't really help one another out. The only thing that SEO does help out with Google ads is the way Google ads, it works is if your website is optimized for like conversions or like with SEO with keywords, then the cost per click actually drops down. So if you search on Google and you see those ads and you click on those ads cost, could be a couple cents, it could be a couple dollars per click, it could be a couple, like $50 per click, $100 a click. But if you have good SEO, maybe instead of $1 a click, it drops to 95 cents a click, which isn't that much, but in the long run, it adds up. So doing good SEO will actually drop your cost per click for Google ads. For Facebook though, I'm not sure how they work, because I try to stay clear of those ads, just because with Facebook ads, there's no intent either. Like social media, like people are searching on Google, they're looking for a product or service, they're looking for you. Whereas on social, you're just kind of interrupting them based on demographics, interests, but there's no intent, and it all comes down to intent. Like if there's no intent, it doesn't mean they want to use your product or service. Facebook's cheap for a reason. It's because it's not as high quality as Google. Google gives you high quality traffic that's searching. They're looking actively at that moment for you potentially.
And when you start doing the search engine optimization, would you expect, does it take a few months for results to start working, or is it something that's fast enough that you start seeing the change?
Yeah, with Google, it's building the trust up. So if you don't have any backlinks, it takes about 6 months to really take full effect SEO, or to like kick in, because Google doesn't just trust you. They want you to prove to them that you really are a credible, legitimate website. And they're not going to just trust you in 1 month or 2 months. They want to see over longer, the better, like building it up over years and years, which takes time. Sure, a lot of people don't want to hear that, but with SEO, it's all about just slow, natural growth. It's not just an immediate spike. That's where paid ads are. If you want that big jump, you run some paid ads, you're going to get that traffic. But you stop running those paid ads, you disappear. With SEO, it takes that time to build it up. And then if you stop doing SEO, you're not just going to disappear. You're still going to keep moving up for the most part until your competitors do more SEO than you. And that's where it's going to take them months to do that. They're not just going to immediately just be able to take you out. But with SEO, it's not immediate. You'll start moving up within the first few months, but to really get to like the top, that's where it takes about 6 months or more. And the more competitive the industry, the more time it takes. Like, it's not really a one size fits all. It's not like this is how Google's algorithm works. Every website's different. And what it really comes down to is who's your competition, who's on that first page of Google, how much SEO have they done, and how can you do more SEO? That's all that matters. Like, I don't even care how Google's algorithm works. I mean, I want to know, but it changes every single day. So tomorrow doesn't matter. But what matters is, what are my competitors doing? What are the people that are on the first page of Google? And even if they're not your competitors, like even if it's like an Amazon and you don't sell a product, but if they're showing that Amazon or Wikipedia, that is your competition. That's who you have to try to figure out what they've done and how you can do better job of that SEO.
Yeah, so basically analyzing the first few and checking their keywords and the whole lot that they're doing, and just kind of implementing that, as well as a few other secret tricks that you apply yourself. Yeah.
Yep, it all comes down to the competition. Whoever's on that first page of Google, they're doing something right. Google's not just randomly throwing these sites up there. They're doing something that Google's rewarding them for. So looking at their keywords, looking at their backlinks, because everything's transparent with SEO or digital marketing for the most part, if you know where to look. So you could see all their keywords in the coding. You could see all their backlinks using different pay tools like Ahrefs or Moz or SEMrush, which you have to pay about like $100 a month for these tools, but you can throw any website in there and see all of their backlinks, and one by one start trying to reach out to those sites and seeing if you could acquire those same backlinks. Because again, if it's working for them, if they're on that first page of Google, it's more than likely those backlinks are a big factor as to why they're at the top.
Yeah, excellent. And just like with, say, TikTok and Instagram and all that, do you stay away from them, or do you actually do other stuff? I know the Facebook is a bit, but like I'm seeing TikTok is one like a lot of people look at it and they go, oh, it's silly. You see all these people just doing silly dances. You can actually press a button to stop seeing that, and then you can actually get brilliant information. There's some people sharing fantastic stuff on TikTok, and I preferred it before because it was a minute. Then they changed it to 3 minutes. Now I think they've even changed that again, which it becomes a time suck then, because you can kind of set aside X amount, half an hour to do some research. But now it can take a lot longer based on, you get sucked into the time warp of, these longer videos.
Yep. They want you to stay on those websites. And also they want to capture that long form video. Like YouTube is the second most popular website out there. Like, or Google's the most popular. Facebook and YouTube switch off between number 2 and number 3 all the time. But video is so very important. So they're trying to capture that video market and keep a hold of it. But for social media, I do use social media for building trust up. So like someone comes to my website, they might be like, all right, we see SEO Optimizers, we see Brandon, but we don't really know who he is. But if they could go on Facebook and like engage with me, see reviews, message me, ask questions, see status updates, see, okay, Brandon's still posting on Facebook. He's still potentially in business. Still don't know, but it looks like if they're still posting, they must still be active. So it's a way to build trust for people. In terms of getting new clients, don't really get new clients off social media, because you got to think like how many people are going on Facebook or Instagram to look for an SEO kind of information. Some people are, but the majority of people aren't really going for SEO. So it's all about knowing who your audience is. Like the majority of the people that are going to be looking for me or can be on Google primarily, or Yelp is really big in the United States, where it's like a big directory where you can find people, see reviews. But it's just knowing who your audience is. If you're in the UK, there might be like TripAdvisor, or I'm not sure what would be similar to a Yelp out there, but it's all about just knowing who your audience is and trying to put yourself in front of them at the right time, at the right place. And even if it doesn't mean Google, if it means maybe they're not on Google, maybe they're on another one, or like for podcasting, it's going to be Spotify and iTunes and Stitcher and all these other places where you got to figure out how can you kind of tap into that algorithm and kind of maximize that visibility and exposure on those sites.
Excellent. And what I've noticed is with a lot of my guests on, like most of them, they say they're a speaker and a coach, but they're a coach for 3 different types of coach. They could be a business coach, a life coach, and something else. And they tend to, not all of them, but they tend to have them all on the one website with the different things on it. Is it better that they have separate ones and then the links to a main one? Would that give them a better advantage in the kind of ranking?
No, that one, I mean, it would help out, but it also means you're doubling all the work. So
Yeah.
every website you have means now you got to build backlinks from the first website and the second website. And then if you have another website, now you have 3 websites. Also, you need to have social media for all 3 websites. So that becomes another headache. You have to have a Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, YouTube, and Pinterest, and LinkedIn for all these websites. And to maintain them all, it's tough enough to just maintain one website. And then imagine doubling it down and tripling it down. So in the past, I thought it would be better, but now I've really kind of just condensed all my sites into one website because it's too much to manage unless they're completely different. Like I do have one where I love skateboarding, so I have a skateboarding website. I'm not going to keep that with the SEO one. It doesn't make sense, but as long as it's somewhat related, I would say put them all together. Like I used to have a website for social media and SEO would be separate, but it's just so much. So combine them, put them together, because if someone's looking for SEO, they might be looking for social or vice versa. They're pretty similar or closely related. So keeping it that way helps out. But yeah, it's just too much to maintain with all the social media and everything to have multiple websites.
Brilliant. Listen, Brandon, thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. You might let people know how they can get in contact with you.
So everyone that's listening or watching, I created a special gift for them. So if they go to my website, SEOoptimizers.com/gift, they can find it there. That's SEOoptimizers.com/gift. And they can find that gift and all my contact information there as well.
Brilliant. Excellent. Okay. Thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me on.
No worries. So that's all for the Speaking Podcast. You'll find all our episodes on speakingpodcast.com. As mentioned, we're on BitChute and YouTube. Be sure to give us a thumbs up, 5-star rating, subscribe, and comment. It all helps in the algorithms, as Brandon will attest. Until next week, take care.